The Volvo S60 does not have the same mainstream appeal as its German rivals, and for valid reasons. But I think it's a compelling alternative, and today I'm going to show you why that is, why it may not be for you, and if there's any changes for 2023. The biggest news in my mind is the restructuring of the trim layouts. In the past, there was a dizzying amount of configurations. There's also a Polestar engineered trim available for the plug-in hybrid, and that comes at a price almost as high as the guy that was tasked with finding out which mushroom does what. You also have a new Google infotainment system. The plug-in hybrid comes with a more powerful powertrain, and it ditches the supercharger and just upgrades the rear motor, and a redesigned overhead console area, which really doesn't have anything in it. It's just capacitive now. They also tweaked the front and rear bumpers, got rid of the exposed tailpipes, you know, to get you accustomed to that, and they now offer themes. You can get a bright one on the Ultimate. All other trims will merely adopt the dark, whereas the new black edition is born in it. That spec is available on most, but is quite rare, exceedingly so in white, as shown. If you'd like this one or various other Volvos, let me recommend Royal South Volvo in Bloomington, Indiana, the friendly, transparent, community-focused dealership that has allowed me to test drive a few S60s over the years. Check them out and tell them thanks for me. Now, before I get into the meat of this video, if you enjoy fun, detailed car content without fluff, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications. It may seem small, but it's pivotal in helping the channel get more cars to review. So the first reason that makes the S60 stand out is its interior, really for a whole variety of reasons. First, the ergonomics. I really love the seats that are offered in this thing. I prefer the base comfort seats. They come with softer cushioning. Lumbar adjustment is standard, of course, but it also has a very high degree of adjustability. You can get a lot of angle out of the seat bottoms. In the higher specs, you have Volvo's Contour seats, which definitely look more fancy, but they're also more firm, and I just don't find them as comfortable. But with either type of seat, if you go with the Ultimate, you will get an extendable seat cushion, which helps me at 6'3" find a very comfortable driving position. And this may seem small, but I really like that the steering wheel actually comes out far enough for me, so I don't feel like I'm trying to sculpt my shoulders every time I'm driving on the highway. And I also think the elbow rests are at a really nice level, and the window line too. There's great visibility in here, but this also just makes it feel more easygoing to me. The cabin materials in the S60 at the base level aren't super great, but as you step up in the trims, like I have here with the Ultimate, there's more stitching, more soft touch here. And while this is all subjective, I think that the design in here is super clean, and I love that it doesn't do too much. One thing that is objectively good for the class is the space. While the numbers don't show it too well, the back seat can accommodate people over 6 foot, even if their twin is in front of them. The trunk is also long with a ski pass-through, but its short height does keep it from being great. In the rear seat, the drivetrain hump is excessive, but this feels a touch more comfortable and spacious than what I've experienced with the A4, a car that, when similarly equipped, is more expensive than the S60. And that's going to lead me to my next reason to buy this, and that is the value aspect. When you consider the space and the baseline features, it makes a pretty good financial argument. So you'll have steering adaptive LED headlights as standard, and it does come with those cool DRLs as well. All come with proximity unlock and lock and blind spot monitoring too. Skip the base model, you'll have a full 360 view camera system, which is handy when trying to alleviate some of that anxiety of driving a $50,000 vehicle. And now on the inside, you're actually gonna have a panoramic sunroof as standard, along with heated seats so long as you get all-wheel drive. In fact, just spend $750 on any trim and you will get the weather package, which again with all-wheel drive will add heated rear seats, headlight washers, and a heated steering wheel. You will also get Google Maps navigation as standard. The nav does work really well, but ooh man, that infotainment is just more embarrassing than whatever photo your mom could drudge up as blackmail. I actually liked the last Volvo system after I learned it. That had a similar stripped down look, but you could simply swipe to get to the controls you use most often, and I didn't find the font size to be an issue. This new Android-based setup also has a snappy response and a competitive resolution, but it's poorly laid out, seems even harder to read, and is unintuitive. The HVAC controls are fully embedded into the touchscreen, and honestly, if it didn't have that level of snappiness, this would be a deal breaker for me. And also, it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it is not wireless. Continuing the tech talk, you have a full digital gauge cluster as standard. There's hardly any customizability to it, and a head-up display will come with the ultimate trim. The Bowers & Wilkins system, from what I've heard, is pretty amazing. Not as good as like the S90 or XC90, but very impressive nonetheless. The Harman Kardon does have a nice amount of bass. It can get pretty loud and still remain clear. And I could keep rattling off these features, but I want to move on to the next reason that I would pick this up, and that is the plug-in hybrid option. This has a respectable 40-mile EV range, but it comes with 455 horsepower, good for a 0 to 60 time of 4.2 seconds. And I also think it sounds kind of nice while it's doing it. And since they took out the supercharger, some of my reliability worries have kind of died down. I also love having the diesel truck feeling 523 pound-feet of torque. It makes like passing and everything just feel so effortless. And really, you can still technically get one for like $50,000, so that's not a big price premium. Now, if you want to keep things more simple, there is the B5, and that provides perfectly okay acceleration. I got to 60 in like 6.5 seconds with that. It has 247 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, gets okay gas mileage, paired up with an 8-speed automatic. Actually, all of them are paired up with an 8-speed automatic. The B5 does have a 48-volt mild hybrid setup. That's there to give you smoother auto stop start and better response, something I do feel that it is helped with. If you want a sharper powertrain, Volvo offers a Polestar optimization package that tunes your setup. I did mention that you could get the Polestar engineered trim, and something that will come with is the Öhlins adaptive suspension, which is the only sort of adaptive suspension that you can get with the S60. So most of them are going to be static, and I don't really see that as a problem. This thing all around on the road provides a luxury car experience. So that'll be the next reason that I enjoy the S60. I don't think it does any one particular thing better than all of its competition, but the driving experience is nice. Over bad roads, I find it to be sure-footed. It's not the smoothest car out there, and it's also not the most forgiving over mild imperfections, but if you take it through the really bad stuff, it doesn't beat you up like something with a sportier suspension. This really just doesn't try to be that fun. That wasn't something that they actually cared about beyond just the marketing. The steering feels precise, surprisingly quick, especially when you're at higher speed, and I also think it's well weighted, but it is numb. And when you are at higher speeds, if you try like correcting mid-corner, it does get a little more unsettled than an Audi A4 with the sport suspension. Though body roll and poise on imperfect roads remains competitive. It's a comfortable, well-handling car, just not too much of either of those. And the same goes for the road noise. It's quiet the way that you would expect a luxury car to be. It's just an easygoing, relaxing, upscale car to drive. Now, the last reason that I would pick up an S60 is more subjective, but it's going to be the understated Swedish swagger. Well, okay, this is technically now assembled in the US, but it does have this effortless kind of style to it, whether that's on the exterior or the interior. And the build quality, while not Audi levels, is also pretty good. And then there's the special touches like this crystal shifter you will get with the ultimate trim, the weird optional headrest folding thing that Volvos have included for a while now, and then its ability to tow 2,000 pounds, which is like more than most RAV4s. That is where the good stuff ends, unfortunately. One thing that I don't want to call exactly a drawback, but it's not a pro, is Reliability. The S60 seems to be devoid of major powertrain problems. However, as time carries on, more small quality control issues seem to be reported by consumers, causing my advice here to change slightly. The most consistent problems seem to be infotainment or electrical based, along with a high-speed vibration for some people. Brake qualms aren't unheard of either. Thankfully, I'm not seeing numerous reports of mild hybrid battery drain like with many other Volvo products, so I'm comfortable recommending this to a luxury car buyer, but I think I'd advise the BMW 3 Series, Audi A4, and especially the Lexus IS or ES if you highly prioritize reliability. Now, the real drawbacks that I would consider here would be one, the complete lack of a fun factor. You can put it into steering feel firm if you want, and that does a little bit there, but this is just not a super fun car. It doesn't like to be tossed around back roads at high speeds. The car just doesn't communicate anything back to me. It's also worth mentioning again that infotainment system is just ugh. The seats are comfortable, but the ride doesn't take that to the next level. And that base engine is, well, just okay. But considering those flaws, I still think that the Volvo S60 carries itself in a way that I'm not used to when it comes to a luxury car. It doesn't try to force a sporty personality down your throat. You have plenty of features, a very distinct, quality-rich interior, and you really get a lot for your money, especially if you get the plug-in hybrid. While most cars in the class are good protectors, let's also not forget how safe the S60 and the Volvo brand are as a whole. The German brands seem to offer a more modern luxury experience with sporty, high-tech attributes, but if you just want a low-stress, premium car and you don't mind an unintuitive infotainment system or lack of zest on the road, the S60 is worth strong consideration. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then leave a like to help me dazzle the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe and hit the bell for more. Follow me on Patreon for an exclusive podcast. I'll catch you in the next one.